Hey, how you doing? Today, I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. It seems more and more like fall out here. It's getting chillier. So, I picked up a couple of these. Now all I have to do is pick one out. I think we're gonna go with this. Yeah. In the mood for glazed donut today. Oh, and of course my coffee. Yeah. I always like their coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. Pretty decent. Tough to go wrong with donuts and coffee. So, of course, thinking about fall, I've been thinking about these. You'll recognize those probably as black walnuts. They're around all over the place here in Pennsylvania. So this time of the year, the fruit from the tree gets ripe and they drop these walnuts. At first they look green like this, and while they're on the tree they look green. But when they first drop, you'll see them laying around on the ground just like that. Bigger than a golf ball size. As they lay on the ground, though, they turn black, and you can see the husk starts to deteriorate. Well, I remember when I was a kid, sometimes I would stay over at my grandmother's house. And of course, she had walnut trees just outside of her house. So we would take like a cardboard box or whatever, and go out there and gather them up to once they got to the point where they had that black husk on them. Because at that point, you can peel that husk off pretty easy. And below that, it will expose the walnut itself. Now, like I said, when I stayed over there, say I got over there at like 10 in the morning or whatever, my parents dropped me off. We would go out and gather these, and then we would sit on the back porch, raking those husks off and put them in one of those like brown grocery bags, the paper bags you used to get from the grocery store. Until the point where we just had the actual walnuts. Of course, that would take a couple of hours. by the time you gathered them all up and got all the husks off of them, and then we would throw them bags away with the husk in them. And these shells are very hard on these black walnuts. They're not like the English walnuts. So we would actually lay those black walnuts on the concrete sidewalk and hit them with a hammer because they're pretty solid. Once you do that, then you can use one of those little metal pick tools that you see for like different types of nuts and stuff, and pick all the meat out of the walnut. Once we had them all busted open, we would throw the meat part in a bowl, get rid of all the shells and everything else, take the good part inside. Then she would make a black walnut cake. And black walnuts have a totally different taste than regular English walnuts do. They're a lot richer taste. Some people like it, I imagine, and some people don't, just like everything else. But I really like the black walnuts. And when she turned it into the cake, she baked the cake and everything. Of course, she mixed the walnuts in with the batter and everything. Then she would put sort of a buttery vanilla icing on top of it. And then she would sprinkle some more of those black walnuts around the outside of the cake on top of the icing. That was pretty good stuff. Then, once the cake was done, by this time, it's later in the afternoon. This process took a couple of hours. And then, bake the cake. Then, we would sit down and have a piece of this black walnut cake with some hot tea that she would make. So then she would take the time to brew the hot tea and everything, get it all set up on the table. And she had the teacups, the fancy little porcelain teacups or whatever, that we would drink out of and stuff. She used them every day for teacups, so they just looked fancy to me. But like I say, this process would take pretty much all day. But back then, it didn't matter how long it took. It's not like we were going to do something else, you know what I mean? So, especially with her, when I spent time with her, it wasn't about trying to get something done fast. It was all about enjoying what we're doing, taking the time to do this stuff right, and then making the cake toward the end of this process, have it turn out just right, and sit down and have a cup of tea and continue talking. Because even while we were busting these walnuts and stuff, we were just sitting there talking. She would tell me stories about how her life used to be in the past and everything. And the whole process was just about spending time together, talking, telling the stories, getting up to date with what each other was doing, because I wouldn't see her all the time. I would only see her on a couple of weekends and stuff like that, throughout the year. And so it gave us time to sit and talk and just enjoy each other's company. I never, not even once that I can remember, saw my grandmother watching TV. She had a TV. She had a little black and white TV set that sat on the one coffee table. But she sure didn't watch it when I was there. The whole time that I was there, we spent doing some type of an activity, going through this process of busting these walnuts, making the cake, and sit down and having cake and tea and stuff. That's what we did all the time when I was with her, was some activity just to relax, calm down, talk about things, and enjoy doing some simple little tasks like that. And this was one of them we definitely did during this time of the year. That donut was pretty good. And that black walnut cake that she made was always good. So, till the next time, take care of yourself, and I'll see you later.